This is the Tabernacle Podcast with me, Britton Bishop, and today I'm joined by the one and only Adam Sharp. What's up, Adam?
What's up, bro? So John always does his "What is up?" is
Right.
this. So here's mine.
Okay, I'm ready.
At the time of this recording,
Yep.
so we have a little timestamp on this.
Okay.
Yesterday we had our volunteer Christmas party,
Yes.
and I was a judge for this cookie contest.
Yeah.
Bro, I started way too strong. All right,
How many cookies were in Buckley?
18, and I'm like, listen, I love cookies, right? And so there were some that I didn't eat all of because, sorry, Tab family, they weren't that great.
Yeah.
But some of them were really good.
Yeah.
And so the first 6, I'm eating like most of the cookie. Well, we got to 12, and I'm like, I'm in trouble. I got 6 more to go. My stomach is hurting. I'm sweating. You know, you got the sugar sweats.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Bro.
I think I've had them my whole life.
So, well, we got through it.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Who won in Buckley?
Listen, this is the weirdest thing, right?
Okay.
You've got like little old ladies baking. You know, it's like what they do,
Yeah.
like for fun. Like that's their hobby, and they're submitting their cookies. Jeremiah Foro won. And if you don't know him, he's 22-year-old guy. He had the best chocolate chip cookie there.
That's amazing. Did he actually make it?
Yes, he does. He does bake. Yeah,
All right.
I forgot about that, but it was incredible.
In Manistee, I was also a judge.
Yeah.
And our winner was it was a dude as well, which I never thought that at the Tabernacle, our
Was
winners.
it Andy?
Yeah, Andy Anderson.
Yeah, weird.
Oatmeal chocolate chip. It was delicious.
Yeah.
I think what I base my judging off of, and this is probably wrong, and yes, we have people here, but they're just going to listen to us for a minute. I think
we're talking about cookies.
Yeah. I think my judging that was wrong was based off, this is a cookie I could eat the most of, instead of this is the one that tastes the best right now.
That's fair.
So I probably wasn't a good judge, but who we got here with us today?
Well, we are blessed today because we have, I don't want to say I have favorites, Britt. We have 2 of my favorite people here. And
Just because you put the chairs and stuff away.
yeah, they do. Yeah. No, we've got John and Tabitha McDaniel with us. And yeah, welcome in. Thanks for taking a risk and doing this, but we're pumped to have you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Mm-hmm.
The first interaction I had with a McDaniel was the mission trip. I'd had like the little in passing and stuff, but Emily rode with us from here all the way to Columbia, South Carolina with Adam and I in a minivan, and we're sorry.
Yeah.
We just want to apologize here for anything that
She's never looked at pastors the same.
No. We're arguing the whole entire road trip. She's like, these guys are idiots.
Yeah. She's not wrong.
Yeah.
She had fun though.
Yeah.
She had stories to tell.
Oh, good. Because she didn't talk to us. So
That's good.
I like forcing it out of her. So
That's funny.
Yeah.
no, it's good.
Yeah. So, yeah, we wanted people to get to know this really cool family that's part of the Tab, and it's been a really cool thing to see from my perspective of, just you guys haven't been at the Tab a long time, but you are very, very much part of the Tab family, and I just think it's really cool. And so, but before we get there, Britt, I'm asking you. I think where we start is probably some childhood type stuff, like just get to know them a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that work? So, Tabitha, let's start with you. What was life like growing up? Where did you grow up?
In Benzonia.
Okay.
So, and my parents are still living in my childhood
The Cherry
home.
Hut.
Yep.
Nice. Is that where that is?
Yeah.
That was a complete guess.
Yep.
Cherry
Crystal
Hut.
Lake. And,
Yeah.
Yep. And church was always a huge priority for us, and so I grew up in a Christian home.
Okay.
So, and I found Jesus at a young age, and but being in church was important. We were there every Sunday, every Wednesday. We were serving. So it was a big part, and I loved church. I have always loved church. So, but I think that's because of my parents.
Right.
So,
What would you say, like your parents did or maybe didn't do, that created in you this love for like, man, this is good? Because you hear the opposite side of that, right? Is, man, when I grew up, the way my family was, they still made us go to all this stuff. So when I left the home, so it's weird, honestly, hearing a side of it of like, man, my parents were awesome, and I loved church because of my parents. So like, what would you say maybe were characteristics or things that they did that made you love church and being a part of that?
I think, I don't know, just seeing their love for Jesus first, and putting him as a priority.
Mm.
And maybe it just, I don't know, it was just, I loved seeing that in them and taking us to church. Like, I mean, we had great things, like so much fun at church. I think that was what was a big thing.
Awesome.
And just how it was important because we lived in their home that we had to attend church. But we didn't ever argue about going, or we just always loved it. And they were Sunday school teachers for years, and just seeing their servants' hearts and modeling that to us. But even in the home, like we love Jesus in our home, and that was first.
That's cool. I think that probably, in my opinion, would be the biggest difference maker that you see nowadays, is the fact of what you just said, of like, we love Jesus in the home first.
Right.
And we went to church as a family, but there wasn't like these like dueling kingdoms that were existing. And so I think for probably you as a kid, and I think about students that we have in our ministry and different things like that, is the kids that see it done and modeled well at home are the ones that flourish in the idea of church and all that stuff. But the ones who at home, church is their discipleship and home is something completely different. I think that's where you begin to see kind of that tension rise. So that's cool to hear that living like Jesus as a parent impacts your kids. And I see that in you now. So what about for you, John?
It was quite opposite, actually. I grew up in Southern Africa. I was born and raised there. Spent most of my time trying to stay out of a church. Did not grow up in a church, in a Christian family. Even though my grandparents were missionaries to Rhodesia, it just never, my parents were divorced when I was pretty young, so we didn't have a lot of time with them, maybe once a year, twice a year maybe. So the influences never really were there.
Okay.
So South Africa.
South Africa.
That's cool. So you're growing up in South Africa. You're growing up in Benzonia, Michigan.
Is there a cherry hut in South Africa?
I don't think so. We did have good ice cream places.
All right. So how do you guys meet then? I mean, what? So give me a little more of your story than being in Africa, then what happens?
Okay, so we moved around quite a bit in Africa. I was born in South Africa. We lived in Zimbabwe, which used to be Rhodesia. In Botswana for a little bit. My dad had a contract in Botswana, and his contract was coming up, and the McDaniels were looking to move back to the States. So my dad's they're from the States.
Okay.
My mom is Rhodesian, Zimbabwean. And my brother and I decided that we wanted to move up here. So I was about 16 when we made that move.
Okay, cool. And where did you move? Did you move here to Northern Michigan?
We did. We did. My uncle moved first, and his wife is from Frankfurt.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So my aunt's from Frankfurt, and her parents were still there, so they moved to Frankfurt and organized a job for my dad. My dad moved to Grawn, and then later to Benzie.
And you were how old at that point?
I was 16.
Okay.
So in that time, moving, doing all that stuff, has church even surfaced as a thing, Jesus, all this stuff?
So, I mean, going through high school, all schools in Africa are, even the public schools, I say public, nothing's public where everything's school fees, but they're all based on some Christianity, religion. You either have your Catholic schools, you have Presbyterian, whatever. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But they always had chapel. I went to boarding school. So when you're at boarding school, every Sunday night when you come back to school, or if you stayed the weekend at school, your Sunday night's chapel, and you do whatever it takes to not go.
Right.
And then Wednesdays it was always chapel, but yeah, it's very generic. You just you sang hymns, and I'm sure there was a message, but I couldn't tell you what any of it was about.
Yeah.
So then coming back to the States, was there like a sense of freedom within that of like, man, like I get to kind of, was there a weird transition? Was that hard?
Surprisingly not.
No.
I mean, it was different, but it wasn't as big a culture shock as you would think for a guy like me. But maybe it's just because I grew up around my grandparents who were American. So I don't know. There was definitely a bit of a difference, a shock, but
yeah, makes sense. So how did you guys meet then? Man, I hope it was at the Cherry Hut after all this.
It was not. It was actually at Crystal Mountain.
Okay. Shout out, Chris. No free shout outs, Marcus Matthews.
Yeah.
Hope's working there right now.
So,
don't look to her for help. You got to tell
I
us how
am
you
looking
met.
for help. She worked there. I don't think I worked there at the time, but my brother and I were taking my dad's wife at the time. Well, still is. So we were taking her to work.
Okay.
I think she worked with.
Yeah.
And you were working at Crystal Mountain at the time?
Yep.
Nice.
And then I saw him.
Just saw him.
How old were you guys at that point? Like, how long had you been in the States?
I think I was 17 at the time.
Okay, so about a year.
And this is just our first interaction.
Right.
This is not when we. I mean, so I think I was
17.
Okay.
Might have been
I was
16.
20.
I don't know. No, I was 16.
Oh, then I was
You would have been
19.
19.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
She's older than me.
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
She's going to hit you. Hitting is allowed in the podcast.
Okay, I might.
So you guys see each other at Crystal Mountain. So what kind of like sparks there to be? Was it a friendship, then a relationship? Like what kind of sparked all that?
Yeah, it was more of a friendship at first, I think. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, we're going back a long time. So we didn't start dating until I was 18.
Okay.
That would have been wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The look you just gave. So you start dating at 18. How'd you pull that off?
I don't even know.
And here we are.
I had long hair. I was skinny. I was,
He had this like
I had
British
everything- I had-
accent.
Gavin.
Yeah, I had everything going on for me at the
So
time.
you had a British accent. So
Major
I
British
did.
accent.
so when you talk to Victoria, does it come back out? Like, is it?
No, I haven't talked to her enough, bro.
Oh, all right.
No.
You had a British accent?
Oh yeah.
Does
His
it
mom
still come
does,
out
too.
sometimes, like if it's mad or something?
I hear some things.
Okay.
Some of the words.
That's
But-
awesome.
But he's kind of
Never would've
lost
thought
it.
that.
Okay.
And I'm
I
really
lost
sad.
So you guys meet, start dating, church, love it, pumped about it,
Mm-hmm.
still not sure?
Not so much.
Okay, so how do
how's
those
that go?
worlds begin to grow in that?
Yeah. So I just started inviting him to church.
Okay.
Yeah. And obviously I didn't really want to date a non-Christian,
Mhm.
but I did. So, but I kept like feeling like he's got to go to church. He's got to know Jesus. I could see that there's something there.
Yeah.
And so he willingly started going to church.
I wanted to be with the girl.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, I think that was why. But
So how long were you going to church then before? I mean, because obviously there's been life transformation now, but
Yeah.
What was that process like for you? Like you start going because of the girl, but how's that end up going for you?
It's great. I mean, probably wasn't a couple years before, growing up, I had never heard of salvation. I didn't even know,
Mhm.
relationship with Jesus. I don't know. I believed in God. I believed all the stories that had been said. I didn't doubt those, but I just never, I didn't know there was more than that. It's just like,
Mhm.
I believe I'm good.
Right.
But
So then you started going to church with her. When did that kind of shift into like, man, there might be something to this?
there is something.
yeah, so, and this is where you find out stuff about us that
Yeah,
you didn't want
But
to.
we feel like
So,
we should
Right.
share it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go for it.
let's see. I was 19. We weren't married. Tabitha got pregnant. And that snowballed
With
a whole
Emily.
bunch of things. And, I remember going and meeting with her pastors and, and they'd sit there and talk down at me. And,
Mhm.
give me the whole runaround. I remember driving home and just having all these questions, and I don't even know if I told you, but I'd stop at a friend's house, a family that we knew, and they were the closest thing to a Christian I knew. They were a Catholic family, and I'd just be like, these things are telling me they're telling me, you're better off just putting the baby up for adoption. You're better off just walking away, and I just didn't think things like that were right. So I had a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think I probably could have gone either way at that time, but
Mm-hmm.
I kept going. I decided, I'm not going to run from this. I'm going to stick this out. We're going to get married. And she kept forcing me to go to church. And I don't know, just over time, it just slowly, started sinking in what this was. Kind of forced me to pay attention and really kind of, why am I even going here?
Right.
What am I doing? What is this?
Where were you at in that whole process as all of that's going on?
Well, that was a very hard time for me.
Yeah.
And I still, when I think back to that, I get very emotional. So I don't think I told him I was pregnant for 4 months. Didn't tell my parents. Didn't tell my sister. Just kept it a secret.
It had to be hard.
Yeah. And because I was that Christian girl, and I wanted to be pure till marriage. That was my desire.
Right.
And so I was very, very scared. So I can relate to a lot of younger girls in the church who have been pregnant.
Yeah.
And you want to run away. I never wanted an abortion at all because I'm very much pro-life.
Yeah.
But I did.
You could sympathize.
I could sympathize.
Understand
why, because it would be the easy. I mean,
Right.
it wouldn't be easy, but you get so scared of what Christians are going to say about you, and you're this good girl.
Yeah.
You've always been in church. You've always followed Jesus, and
Did you find yourself like allowing those opinions or those thoughts to shape maybe what you thought God was thinking about you?
oh my goodness, and that's what gets me. It's hard, but I really, because I've always known God's love and grace for me, but it was at that moment that I really knew His grace for me and why He died for me.
That's awesome.
And and that's what got me the courage, because I would feel the Holy Spirit on me every day. I'd go to work and I'd just like cry and pray, and I would pour out my heart to the Lord and even ask for forgiveness, and but I'm like, okay, I don't need to ask every day. He's forgiven me.
Yeah.
And to realize, whoa, it's His grace.
Yeah.
And then I really felt that in a strong, strong way, that His grace that's why He died for me.
Yeah.
That's
That's
why
awesome.
He did. So
Yeah. What would you say, maybe this is a bunny trail, but I think these are good things, to maybe somebody that's listening to this podcast that's finding themselves in kind of like the depths of that, the shame or whatever it is of choice or a decision they've made that's led them to a place of feeling like, man, everybody's going to be disappointed. Like, is there any encouragement you could give to that maybe listener that's listening right now?
yeah, I think I had to focus on the Lord and what He saw in me and not what people saw in me, because there were negative people who talked behind my back and didn't support us necessarily.
Lost a lot of friends.
A lot of friends. I mean, friends that I actually thought were my friends were not my friends anymore. But I would say, always remember God in it. I mean, He loves you. He cares about you, and that is all that matters.
Yeah.
That really is all that matters.
Yeah.
And when you realize that, there's peace in that. So, and God brings beauty out of those moments, So,
yeah.
That's good. Yeah, it just reminds me of Ephesians 1, and I talk about it all the time. I've probably talked about it on the podcast before, the students are probably tired of hearing me talk about Ephesians 1. But I think it's so important.
Else?
Yeah, it's just the same chapter over and over again. But it's so important because of that. I mean, because whether it's something like that or it's something different in life, like there's so many times, and we see it with students daily, where they're getting their worth and their value from what people think of them, and there have been Christians and people and churches that we've done a bad job and made people think that's what's important, and haven't always supported people the way that they need to be supported. But I always point people back to Ephesians 1, because if you read through Ephesians 1, you can really see what Jesus says about you, about who you are in him. And, so it has words like you're chosen, you're lavished in grace, you're adopted, all of these things. And like, that's the truth that we have to believe. That's because it's the only truth. It's true. And so I would piggyback on what you're saying is when you're in those moments and you're like, man, these people are judging me, and also, let me just say this. Oftentimes when you feel like people are judging you, there's probably some truth to it, but it's not as much as you think.
Right.
You feel judged, but it's not as much as you think, okay? But when you're in those moments and you're like, man, I have nowhere to turn, go read Ephesians 1.
Yeah.
And remember that's you.
Yeah.
A saint. It says to the saints, you're a saint. Well, I don't feel like a saint.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a believer, if you follow Jesus, you are. So, so it's that's where my brain goes when you talk about that, and it's so important.
Yeah, I
So-
love that.
So you're pregnant with Emily. You guys aren't married. You get married before Emily's born, post,
Yes.
before?
Yes.
Okay.
A month
then-
before she was
A
born.
month before. Awesome.
Nice.
Love it. So what kind of, now you guys are a family, you have a child, you're married. What kind of, was there any shifts? Was there any like, all right, now, like for you, like I got to dial in on this faith stuff. I'm a dad now. I'm a husband. Like, was there like an urgency maybe that was created in that? Or were you still like, I got to figure this out?
I was still in a figuring this out. I mean, I think I was still battling I don't want to go to church every Sunday,
Right.
you know?
Now you can't get him out.
I know. I just shut the lights off and locked the door.
It's true.
You got to do what I do. I just get those people a key. So this guy just needs a key.
Yeah.
I love it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I don't know. Just, the events that took place. I mean, I'm going to say I gutted it out, or I kept going, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did. I learned a lot. And, there's, just people that you come across in your life that just truly have impacts, even though they're just small and you can't maybe pinpoint it on anybody, right? But I think they're just good people that surrounded me. And
that's awesome. What was some of the things like that those people, as they were surrounding you, like what were some characteristics maybe that they were bringing to the table that you were like, there's something in this that I
trust these people.
I trust that I want to be around, because I'm assuming these are the people that maybe over time you're like, man, maybe this Jesus thing and such a bad, like maybe this is worth it.
right.
What were some of the characteristics you were seeing in those people?
Just their faithfulness, and hearing people's stories.
Yeah.
Hearing how people, being a Christian hasn't always just been perfect, but man, they come through it, and just watching how people come through different things and make it out, and they're okay.
Sure. Yeah. Good.
So you guys are married, got a
Married.
child. Eventually the next one comes. Like what's so what's life looking like at that point? I mean, yeah. Where we're going after that. So we've got Emily, and then next is, I'm trying to stick up
Izzy.
pages in my head. Izzy.
Yeah, Izzy. Yep.
Yep,
She's
Izzy's
gonna be
next.
so
So
mad you forgot about her.
she's my
Izzy,
favorite McDaniel.
Adam forgot about you.
She's my favorite
Right.
McDaniel. She knows this.
Better double your rates.
Yeah, she is my kid's favorite too. Yeah, so like you guys are, I mean, you've been on this journey, and so you're growing closer to Jesus, we assume, at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was a complete transformation.
Right.
There was still a lot of old self. I mean, it took a couple years before I truly understood this relationship with Jesus, and even then, I just kept feeling like there's more, and it just seemed like there was something that we weren't getting. I don't know. It was.
Were you experiencing similar, or was it like, this is awesome?
This is awesome.
Yeah.
I love Jesus. You know?
Yeah.
Did you guys talk through those things, like as you were kind of wrestling with that, or was that like an internal?
That was more internal.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave my life to Christ.
Right.
So, I mean, I know I'm saved.
Yeah.
But, it just seems like and I don't want to
Say whatever you want. It's our
talk
podcast.
bad about,
Yeah.
but you get to some places where you just feel like it seems very, internal, like one church family. You're
Yeah.
just all about this
Yeah.
and not
Mhm.
about
Yep.
going
Yeah.
out into the.
Looking in rather than
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I felt like
Yeah.
that's what it just seemed like.
Hmm.
It seemed like there should be more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
So you're
yeah.
almost like that. You're in this church.
We're in this church, and we're more concerned about.
inside the walls than outside.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the
Yes.
Jesus you were learning about seemed like he was one that was probably more outside the walls.
Yes.
So there was like a
Thank
tension
you. Yes.
that was existing there. Okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see where that would be difficult, especially for somebody that grew up with missionary grandparents
Right.
that are on mission doing these things, and then you come, and then the cultural aspect of faith that you find yourself in is like, wait a second, this doesn't, the Bible I'm reading and the things maybe I'm hearing and understanding, it feels like we're doing it differently than what I understand from Scripture.
Yeah,
So
not
that's
in a
kinda-
bad way.
No, absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
still
But there's a
very
tension.
on point, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's just something that's missing.
Yeah, there's a tension there. Interesting. Yeah, I guess I don't.
Yeah.
I've always been. I guess it just didn't go. I'm in a similar boat to you, as I grew up kind of in the Bible Belt in Oklahoma,
Okay.
and it was very like, man, church seems like a good idea, but then they all act the same as me,
Mm.
even when
Right.
they're not at church. So why would I waste my time?
Yep.
So I'm just going to do whatever I want then, and they can waste their Sundays, and I'll see them on Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm with you in that. But
Yeah.
I remember when I got to a church where it was like, wait a second, their life is different. They're not just wasting their time. There's something that's happening in their life, and I think I want that.
Mhm.
I want to be around. I want to be a part of that. So
Mhm.
So when was there a change then at some point where you did you change? Did you find a different church? Did you find a group of people that kind of you saw were also looking out and seeking Jesus at the same time? Like, what was there a change there for you with that?
There was, and I still think, I've been doing this for 20 years, but I still feel very new, because I feel like it's taken so long in my journey to get, even to get where I am now. But, there was. We had, the church we're attending, which is a great church. We, our pastors retired, and we had a new pastor come in and started changing things.
Mhm.
And that can expose a lot of what a church is like, and you can kind of see, like, kind of open your eyes to, okay.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people didn't like that.
Mhm.
And we loved it because it was, we were kind of turning the church
inside
out.
Yeah.
You know what I
Interesting.
mean? And,
Yeah.
and that was good.
So you saw like this like click of like, oh, wait a second, this is
So,
Let's start
What about
learning
for you?
about love.
Yeah,
mhm.
for sure. I'm curious for you, as you're having kids and stuff like that, did that begin to, like, was your faith as a mom, because you always hear the stories of moms that are like, there's this new level of whatever, or I just want to make sure these kids don't die today. Like, what was happening like in your faith journey as you're becoming a mother and now you feel like this responsibility to kids and different things like that? Like, what was kind of happening there for you?
Yeah, survival.
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
did I feed him today?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
So, and John traveled a lot.
Okay.
And I was mostly on my own as a single mom, I felt. But so it was a lot of survival for sure.
Was there a point where it was like you guys decided together of like, we're raising kids in a Christian home?
Yes.
What did that kind of process look like for you guys as a family, or was it just like an unspoken, this is what we're doing?
I don't think we ever talked about it. It was just happening.
It's
Okay.
happening.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
There wasn't a question about it.
So what did that look like for you guys at the time? Was it just, we're going to get them to church, we're going to do these
Church
things?
is a
We were
priority.
church
Yeah.
Mhm.
every Sunday. We didn't miss.
Yeah.
No.
You
And on Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
So why, if you don't mind me asking, because I think this is important to hear, for people to hear the conviction, but why is that a priority? Because it still is today. I can see it in your family. Why, for you guys as a family, is it a priority to be in church?
I think because I love Jesus,
Mhm.
and it also says in his word we should meet together. And I just have a desire for my children to not only learn from us in the home, but learn outside of the home, by the pastors, by the teachers, youth leaders,
Yeah.
youth pastor. So I think that's always just
And
just
what's
fun.
interesting about that is your kids seem to enjoy being here
they love
as
it.
well.
Mhm.
And so we don't
You
always
think
see
Gavin
that.
likes being here?
Yeah, he just doesn't know how to show it.
I remember asking Gavin on the mission trip. We sat down and I said, "Hey, Gavin." He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Do you hate me?" Yeah. He's him and
I know,
Dawson.
he kind of looks
It's
a
like, I don't
little
think
like
you two have smiled since I met you.
I get along with Gavin because we both kind of look like we're
Him and
just
Dawson
angry.
both. They're
I
just
know.
sitting
Right,
over there.
right.
But we're not.
But then you get them on a work site and you're like, "Oh, these kids are having the time of their
Yes.
life." Talk to people.
I
I,
always
can just
tell Gavin,
carry
"Smile."
stuff.
Right.
But as a parent, I'm always interested because I think this is a great question that you've kind of led us down, Britt.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome. You've done this before. Proud of you for finally getting one right.
Oh,
But as a parent, like, because we see it sometimes the other way, where like the parents are in and they're like, "You're going to church," and the kids sometimes show up and they don't want to be there. But your kids seem to, and maybe they'll tell me later I'm wrong, but they seem like they want to be here. They're okay with it, and so I just like.
Well, you keep them locked
What is
up in
the
a box at
difference?
home, so
Then they're just excited to be out. But I almost wonder if it's part of how you were explaining when you grew up. Like there was an authenticity at home too, that it didn't change, and so I just wonder if like can you speak to that at all? Like what are you doing that your kids actually want to be here? Because I want to make sure that's what I do too. Right? I don't want my kids to grow up resenting the fact that we were at church all the time.
yeah,
Well,
because that is a big thing.
Yeah,
But-
we're excited about church.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, we're not like, we got to get up, go to church. It's man, we get to go to church today and get to see people,
Yeah.
get to worship our Lord together, and I don't know what we do. I don't think we do anything special. I just think
No, I think it's God's grace.
I
Yeah.
think
Like-
it helps having a church family
Yeah.
that you love, that loves you,
Mhm.
that you're involved with.
Mm.
Our friend groups are from church. You know, it's basically our life.
Yeah.
Whether it's here at our friend's house, it's kind of that group of people. So
Just like becomes who you are.
it becomes who you are.
Yeah, I love that. I think that that's the aspect of church that so many people miss out on
Yes.
is the fact that there's so much more than just wash, rinse, repeat.
yes.
There's a vibrancy, there's a community, there's more than Sundays. I love what you're saying of like our friend group is our church family. Like our kids are seeing us with people that I don't just put on a face for these people on Sunday morning.
Right.
Like these are the
Right.
same people we hang out with on Friday or whatever. And I think there's so much to that. Is that something that you guys started at your last church? Like, man, we're going to build this community. We're going to raise the kids in this. Has that just been like who you guys are the whole time? Or is that something that's happened since you've come to the tab?
I mean, on a small scale, yes, but more so
No.
since we've been here.
Okay.
You know, we used to drive 50 minutes to church.
Gotcha.
All our friends were Traverse City and
Mhm.
the surrounding areas, but
Gotcha.
nobody was out by us. So,
Hmm.
so you know, and I think that's we learned that the importance of having a church in your community helps you become part of your community.
Yeah.
We were never part of a community, and it's not the church's fault. That had nothing to do with them. It
Mhm.
was we could be as much a part of that, but you're driving.
Yeah.
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 You know, so it made it very difficult. So
Right.
you know, being close to here and just
Yeah. Just makes it a little bit more convenient
yeah,
in the sense of like, man, now we can, like, we've removed all barriers to being involved.
absolutely.
Because 50 minutes is real time.
Yeah.
That's 2 hours round trip.
Yeah.
That makes it tough
That's
to
real.
Throw
probably
some
not-
snow on the roads.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just don't
That's
go in the
real.
snow.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, because you guys you're here, you're serving, you're doing a lot, and that's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to get you guys on the podcast is because people will hear me and Britton and John and Tim and all the pastors all the time from stage talking about getting involved, serving, being there. And I think sometimes it can sound like, well, we just want them to do the work.
They need
right?
help.
Yeah, we need your help, so come help us. But there's so much more to it. And I've watched you guys. You've been here for about a year and a half, almost a year and a half, right? I've watched you guys come in, and I don't know how long. Let me ask this question first. When you came to the Tab, how long were you coming here before we were like, okay, this is it. This is where we want to be?
So the first Sunday we came.
July
So
4th.
I think we had not been in
weekend.
church for 2 months, which for us is like,
Yeah.
holy moly. We had just gone through a major.
Yep.
You go, church hurt. Everybody talks about church hurt. I'm like, yeah, whatever, But it's a real thing.
Yeah,
You go
for sure.
through some church hurt. You got a lot of, it's like you're losing your family. Your family's breaking up. You're going through a divorce. It's.
Yeah.
And so we kind of held back. I think Tabitha started watching
Online.
the
Okay.
online,
Okay.
the Tabernacle
And my mom,
online.
too.
And-
Well,
and-
my mom started. Then my mom got me to do it because she's like, this is great. This is great.
Okay.
And I struggle with the online thing. I'm just like, and finally it's like, you know what, we're going. So I think it was the first time I think we came in here and John was preaching, and it was kind of like a informational just for me, because it was this is what we believe. Kind of this is
Who we are.
this is who we are, and I'm like, I told Tab, it's like we're not even looking
This
anywhere
is it.
else until I find something that's like, we're staying.
Yeah.
So
And then you met Adam.
and then I met Adam. I'm like, he was a hard nut to crack.
Maybe-
I mean, he
maybe
walks
we will go
around with
somewhere
that
else.
face.
He does.
Me and Gavin have the same issue. All right. We just look angry. We're not. I'm not angry, Tab family.
In those 2 months where you guys were kind of in Volley, not going to a church, maybe watching online a little bit, what were some of the lacks that you were experiencing in your life during that time?
Community.
Yeah. Did you find that like wearing on you guys a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
What were some of the, like, I guess for people listening, maybe that, because I think so many people get to that place and then just decide this is my new normal.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I'm good. So what were some of the things maybe that you weren't experiencing not being in community that now you are experiencing? Like, I think for the person that's isolated, you don't know you're isolated till you
Right.
get out of isolation. So maybe speak to that a little bit.
Or just the support.
Yeah.
I know isolation sucks.
Right.
As much as we say, I could
Do
be
it.
by myself. You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just can't. You regress. I find if I don't go to church, my faith starts to, I don't want to say backslide, but you start to relax a little bit.
Yeah.
You need that kick in the pants a little bit, just that refresher. Just
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
So coming from, you mentioned you had some church hurt,
Yes.
and then you come to the Tab. What? Because I think for a lot of us that have experienced church hurt, it can be very scary to then get involved again.
Yes.
But like I mentioned before, you guys, from what I can remember, got involved pretty quickly, and you've stayed involved, and you've been heavily involved. And
we came with every intention not to get involved.
Well, and I remember
yeah, so I want
telling
to
him
know.
that.
Yeah,
What
I
did
want
you say?
to. I want to know
hear
what that
this.
was like.
Yeah. Give us
Well,
that
we
story.
would sit often and just kind of like for those 2 months, and talk. And I'm like, it's going to take me a long time to like get involved. And
Apparently 2 months is a long time.
so, but this is kind of, I don't know. I was pretty amazed with our kids because the first Sunday we came was in July, so there was still youth group, and we felt something here, and then our kids we're going to go to youth group on Wednesday, and imagine being the new person. I mean, we were at a church where we were there our whole lives,
Right.
and no,
So your
they
kids
went.
told you they were going.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yep.
That's cool.
I had
you
said
can't
something.
keep them away.
No, I had said something like, "Oh, we should try it and stuff." And your guys, and they were the ones that said, "Yeah, we're going to try it." And then they went to camp.
Okay. Was that 22?
22.
22.
Yep.
Okay.
And I was just like, "Whoa, this is so cool!" And I think that spoke a lot to.
Were we at Lost Valley
us.
for that one?
Yes, you
Yeah,
were.
We were as our first year there.
Okay.
Yep. And
All
they,
runs
yeah,
together. Mud pit, all
mud
the
pit
things.
and everything. They did. They were like, "Whoa, this is crazy."
That's cool.
But just watching
Dang,
them,
so they came to camp after like 2 weeks of going to the
2
church.
weeks.
Yes.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did
I
they have
remember
friends
that.
here already?
no friends.
No, I remember that actually because I was surprised to see that they'd signed up because I knew that they'd come for just a couple of weeks and I'm like,
yeah.
okay, this new
Yeah.
family's here, they're checking it out, and then you guys signed up for camp, and I was like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Typically, it was really cool. So
Dang.
so really the
And
kids
even-
dove
even
in
Gavin.
first.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, even
He's
Gavin.
like, "I'm
Even-
going."
Yeah,
Then he found Dawson somehow.
Well,
no,
that was
Dawson.
in our
known-
other
oh,
church.
they've
known
yeah.
Dawson.
Yeah.
All right.
He's known them since they were just
Since
little.
they were little.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, they need to find new friends.
Yes, I agree.
I'm kidding, guys. They're not going to listen.
Expand your
Yeah.
group.
So that's crazy. I never know who the Buckley kids are. This sounds so bad.
that's fine.
But whenever we get to like camp, like, is that your kid? I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So I guess I just assumed that it was a kid I didn't know. The only kid I know at camp from Buckley is Benji. Like, do you
And-
know that kid? I'm like, I
Yeah.
think I know.
And let's be honest, you get the random kids that sign up through your church
Yes.
that like have never been to youth group, and so Britton and I are arguing like it's not my kid, it's yours. It's your kid. I'm like, no,
hilarious.
It's always a behavioral issue. Too. It's, they go to the Buckley
They
camp.
go to the
it's not wrong.
2 weeks
I
and
love
went
it.
to. So what was that like for you guys as parents? Seeing your
Were you
kid,
nervous
like,
about that? Like about them going to camp with a church that you're still like, well, this is brand new.
No, I was excited.
Okay.
Well,
I felt
think-
excited.
Yeah.
I was nervous, like for them, like that feeling of not knowing anybody,
hmm
because I was nervous that way.
Right.
And so I just prayed a lot that, just let them have a good time, have them make friends, and I don't know. I was just really proud of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
for
know.
sure.
It was a good
Yeah,
moment.
for sure.
Did
about
that
you,
kind of
John?
spark for you guys in your family, like them taking that plunge 2 weeks in? Was it just like well, I guess we're doing
Well,
this.
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
Mhm.
felt like, man,
Yep.
this is home.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, the kids are diving in, and this is awesome. I thought it would take
A long time.
a long time.
Yeah.
You know, they're leaving everybody they knew, and
Yeah.
you know, it's just hard. But
Yeah.
So the kids go to camp, they're diving in.
Yep.
You guys had experienced a lot of church hurt.
and the kids did too.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
they understood what was going on,
Right.
and
Because they're older and.
Yeah.
Mhm.
so it was hard. It was
Yeah.
not an easy decision. Don't
Mm.
Yeah.
you know? I don't.
We did not
It was
take it lightly.
not an
Right.
easy decision to
Because
leave.
we love church.
Right.
So,
It was.
yeah.
But yes.
So was that when you decided to start serving then? Was there like an internal battle, or did you guys talk about like, are we going to start serving? Or because you had said I'm going to take a while, it's going to take a long time.
Yeah,
And
it's
you said you had
weird.
no intention of getting involved.
Well,
We're just going to sit
yeah,
back.
check it
I
out.
never
Yeah.
said, you know, I don't think I verbalized I'm not helping, I'm
Right.
not doing anything. You
Mhm.
know, she did. She said it's going to take me a while, and then, I mean, but
Well, I was
she's been
like-
serving her whole
Yeah,
life in
right.
church,
Mhm.
and for
Mhm.
her to go to a church, I mean, and you don't want to feel like you're just taking. At least
Right.
I don't. We
Did it
don't.
feel like something was missing when you were coming to church but not serving?
Oh, man, yeah.
What was that? Explain that, because I think there's a lot of people that don't experience that
Yeah.
side
Mhm.
of church because it's just we come to church, we leave. Like, what was missing in your life at that point?
Well, because I had served,
Mm-hmm.
like, even when I was young, we would always be serving and doing that. That was part of our life. And so, yeah, it felt like something empty
Hmm.
inside. And I'm like, well, because I love Jesus, again, I'm going to serve. I mean, he calls us to serve. And
So it wasn't a sermon that talked
it
you
wasn't
into
a
it.
sermon.
No.
It's just there.
Yeah,
It's in me.
it's the Spirit
And
of God.
It's and I think a lot about when Jesus walked the earth. He served like the masses, but he also served his closest friends.
Mm.
And I look at that as like the body of Christ. We're here to serve each other, whether it's like watching a baby in a nursery so a parent can go to church, or things like that.
Mhm.
And I don't know. He sets the example.
Yeah,
And I want to follow it. I guess it's just there.
yeah.
So it did not take me long at all
Yeah.
to jump in. I think it was 2 months later, Cassie and I did Ignite together, so I could learn,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that was it.
Yeah, I think there's something to the fact of what you're saying is it's not a like cultural obligation that you're participating in. It's not the right person asked me and they had the right personality. It's this reality that you know Jesus, you love Jesus, you know what Jesus did, and so you're just going to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that so many people that miss out on the aspect of serving others, they haven't truly encountered the reality of who Jesus is. Because when you look at his way, when you say like, I'm a follower of the way of Jesus, that is one of service. That's not one of consumption. And so I love what you're pointing to is the fact of, I don't think at the end of the day it matters what church you would have showed up to. I don't think you would have been able to last with the I'm not serving.
So true.
Because it's the Spirit of God in you. It's Jesus through you that is, no, you need to serve here. I mean, it's biblical, this idea of you're going to serve the church. You're going to serve your friends. You're going to serve. I love that because I think that what you're pointing to is the aspect that's real. Because there are a lot of people that just serve through obligation. And those are the people that you see get burned out. Those are the people that get tired of being here. The ones that are like, I need to take 6 months off. And I get people are tired and you get busy and insert in whatever. But I think whenever the Spirit is what's driving you, that's what creates we get to go to church today. It's not come on, kids, we got to get in the truck. We're going. And I think there's something about allowing the Spirit to lead you in that leads to an excitement and a joy in being plugged in. So I love that you're sharing that. And I would encourage people listening to really, really spend some time seeking the Lord in what would you have for me in this serving, and not just this like obligatory white knuckling, I'm just going to do it. And so, but what about for you? What was serving, jumping in like that for you?
Yeah, I think it took me a little longer. I think she started first.
And so you serve in Tab Kids.
Yeah.
Which ministries do you?
I'm an usher.
Okay.
So, I think I was asked, or I was told, that, hey, you'd make a good usher. I'm like, yeah, I've done that before. I think I can do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was, and it's funny how that works because I was, it'd been on my mind. Like, hey, it's time to get back in, and so yeah,
it's awesome. Then he ushered some vans down to Detroit, saved our
Bro,
life.
seriously. That was crazy.
It started pouring. Wasn't that horrible?
That was horrible.
That was crazy.
I was so happy that you called him.
Yeah. I think
Denny called.
Denny
got you?
Yeah.
Denny Knopf, yeah, he's a lifesaver too.
Yeah.
Yeah, ushering. But you guys are also you lead the team that sets up for Tab Youth and
which my bad, I broke the foosball table. You're gonna have to deal with that.
You did.
No.
Seriously?
Yeah, the legs.
Bro, I literally said, Britton, you can't just lean it on its legs; it will break.
Guess what?
30 seconds later,
I had that foosball table for a whole semester. Guess what I did every week?
Leaned it on his head.
And now
because I had
probably
a
weakened it.
Adam hates you because he got you a cart that's 6 inches. Man of Steel, we got a big old cart. All right, so
whatever.
It's the tools.
Yeah, I just want to say that, part of the serving, and this is not why we do it, but this is a benefit of doing it. But the group of people that you get to meet it's a good group of people that you get to hang out with and you get to meet and and when you're serving, you get to see all the people in the church.
Yeah.
One of my favorite spots, the front door.
Yeah.
Because you get to say hi to everybody that's walking through that door, and it's just kind of cool.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, your guys' journey into the Tab has been more than just serving on a team, because we see a lot of people serve on teams, and I did it for a long time. I was an usher. I served as an usher, but I never really connected with anybody. You guys have
You
a
imagine
church
that face
family.
ushering people.
I know.
Take a seat.
That's why the seats were empty.
Yeah, exactly. Scared them away as they come up. But you guys have a church family now, and so you've also taken that step of, yes, I'm going to serve, but I'm also going to be vulnerable with people, and we're going to open up our lives to people. And so, what was that part like? Because we've talked about stepping into serving again, but because you mentioned you left a lot of the people that you knew and loved, and so was that hard then to open up and be vulnerable with people and be like, okay, we're going to build new relationships?
It was hard, but I think there was a desire to do it because who wants to be lonely at church?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you go to a room full of people. I'd rather know them than not know them and be surrounded by strangers.
Yeah.
Well, because we knew everybody at the other. So, yeah, it is hard being a new person, but I didn't want to feel like the new person.
So what, like, obviously serving, but what other things did you guys find yourselves doing? Or does it just come naturally to you of like, man, we're not just going to not know anybody here?
Right.
What did that look like for you guys?
Well, like even going to the Bible study,
Okay.
pushing myself. I hadn't been to a women's Bible study in a long time, and I went with my mom, and we went together, which was helpful, but
Which one do you guys go to?
the Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning.
And
No free shout-outs, Rachel.
yeah, that's right. Yep. But that's where I have met my dearest friends. And then my mom had a massive stroke, literally, I don't know,
Yeah.
About a year ago.
like
Exactly a year
4
ago.
months after we had been going here.
Yeah,
And
okay.
they go here too, my parents.
Yeah.
And it was the women at that Bible study who pulled together, did meals for us. And I think that right there too is like when you're going through a hard valley and it's scary and it's, you know, you don't want to feel alone. You want your church to be around you. And so I think that right there, we didn't want to feel, it's not a good feeling to feel alone.
No.
So
What was that like stepping into a new Bible study at a new place after coming out of some fractured relationships and church hurt and different things? Like, was there a hesitancy of like, do I really want to get to know these people?
that is what the one thing I hesitated the most was going.
How did you overcome that?
I just did it.
Yeah, there it is.
I just did it.
Yeah.
I would get all like nervous and like I am not going. I'd even tell my mom, I am not going. I don't feel like going. But she's like, we have to. It's okay because this is how we'll
Good
meet
job,
people.
Mom.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. There are plenty of fight clubs where I sit there and I look at Hope and I'm like, I don't want to go.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get there and you're like, oh,
Those are the
think you've
best
said that.
nights.
yes.
The nights that I fight it and I
Yeah.
show up, it's like, man, I'm so glad I
So you have those too.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Right.
Everybody does.
Well, I think people listening to this probably see people that go to those things like, well, they're just extroverted and they like being there.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Nobody likes going.
No.
You do it anyways. That should
You
be
love it when you're
that should be
there.
the new plug for
yeah.
Bible studies at the Tabernacle.
right. Yeah.
Nobody wants to be here.
Right. Yeah.
Just do it. But it's so true, and I think I love that you're just like, no, I just did it.
I just did it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Are you a naturally extroverted, introverted? Which like, are you a people person, or would you rather like do
I would
your
say
own thing?
I'm more a people person.
Okay.
I used to be a little more introverted,
Yeah.
younger, but I don't even know what I am.
Okay.
Because I'm introverted but
Ambivert.
extroverted. I'm like in the middle.
Yeah.
Because then I also need to like go home and like,
Yeah.
ooh, I need some alone time.
Right. I get that.
yeah.
What about for you? When did you start plugging in to fight clubs? Did she lead the way in that, or were you like, all right, we're going to do this together?
Yeah, she led the
I'm like, when are you gonna like, you know?
Yeah. Was definitely not my thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'd never really, I'm not extroverted. I am, even though sometimes I can be, but, you know, it
Yeah.
a lot of nerves that come up that I have to fight. You
Right.
know, I mean, I think I started going, only went a couple times over there, and then John invited me to
Okay.
his fight club down here, and that was hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Did you do the first Timothy Fight Club?
yeah,
How was your 10 Commandments test?
it's not good.
It's your phone, Adam. You're wondering what this is. It's your phone. Don't look at Benji like he's doing something wrong.
Benji is the producer. There was a weird buzzing in my ear. It's his fault. Figure it out, Benji. Sheesh.
Poor Benji.
Isn't that the worst, though?
It is. It
Go-
is. It's like I know them. Not when you're tested, you don't.
Yeah.
So what was that like going to Fight Club? Was it so obviously like hard? There's times you don't want to go, all that stuff. But over the period of time going through it, did you find yourself growing in that? Like what was?
Oh, absolutely. It was
Yeah.
the best thing I ever did.
Hmm.
I mean, for meeting people,
Yeah.
you know, I still, you know, consider those guys my friends, and yeah, it was one of the best things, and just growing,
Yeah.
learning from John obviously is,
Yeah. Did you see a
very
shift
key.
in him?
Yes.
What
Yep.
was kind of from your perspective, what was happening in that space where it's like, oh, man, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, he was enjoying going.
Yeah.
And he wanted to go. There's some nights he's,
Right.
I mean, that was me even on
Yeah.
Wednesday mornings. But he enjoys it, and just hearing him with his like friendships and
Yeah. That's cool.
it's exciting.
I think we're probably starting to,
Yeah.
to land the plane, but I would
Mhm.
just, what would you guys say to the person that maybe has been coming to the church for a while and they're kind of hesitant to dive in because there's some fear, and that's legit, and I don't want to
Yeah,
dismiss
100%.
that. Like
Yep.
those feelings are real, and that's okay. But what would you guys say to that person? And because I like you more, I'll give you time to think about it. We'll start with you, John. What would you say to that person, man? Just any encouragement or anything about that?
Do it.
Hmm.
You won't regret it. There's community in serving. You become, you can be a part of a church without being part of a church. But man, when you start serving, you really become a part of that family, and
Yeah.
there's benefit in it
Yeah.
for you and for others.
Yeah, I love just that ownership aspect.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You
And that's
know,
coming from somebody, I mean, you have every reason not to be involved
Mhm.
if you needed them.
right.
And I
Yeah.
think I love that aspect.
I'm not looking for excuses.
Right.
I'm looking for involvement. I want to be a part of it. And sometimes it's a fight.
Yeah.
But I think we're called to do it.
I love that.
Mhm.
What about for you, Tabitha?
Well, I was going to say we came in scared a little,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
something new. But just doing it,
Hmm.
and don't let the fear hold you back. And also, if we serve in one area, that might not be our gift, but we find out what our gift is
Yeah.
if we do serve. And I think that can be a beautiful thing. It
Mhm.
might not be with kids, but it could be something else.
Mm.
It could be,
Yeah.
but just doing it, I guess, and not holding back, because there is such a reward, I think, in just serving. And
Yeah.
you don't do it for other people, you do it for God. It's
Yeah.
really, it's about him. It's not about us at all.
Yeah.
But he does give you the courage and the strength
And
to do it.
and beyond the serving too, what about just the fact that you guys have opened up your hearts and you've opened up your lives and your family to people, even after you've experienced hurt? I mean, is it still just the same advice? Just do it. Just
Do
Just
it.
do it.
yeah.
And I feel
Yeah.
like, especially when you have children, days are short, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Be an example.
Be an example.
kids.
Don't hold back.
My son, Gavin, just started ushering.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have to force him to do it either.
Hmm.
It's cool.
And you think people let you down, God won't.
Right.
Do it for God.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
That's good. That's really good.
Focus on him.
You
Yep.
can't let the things that people do or say get you down. I mean, you can get you down, but that's not what matters in life.
Yeah.
It's,
Mhm.
Don't stay there.
Don't stay there.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you.
Mhm.
Not just for being on the podcast, but again, you guys are such a blessing to me and my family. Yeah, I'm getting emotional now, but
I know.
yeah, it's just been really cool. You guys are part of my family, and
Mhm.
my kids love your kids, especially Izzy.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
Adam doesn't love Izzy, but his kids do.
Yeah.
'Cause he
I
forgot
just
who
said-
she was.
Izzy is my.
Izzy's his
I
favorite.
said Izzy's my favorite McDaniel.
He doesn't
So,
mean it. Gavin, he doesn't mean it.
But seriously, thank you. Just for being willing. You guys are. It's cool because it's been encouraging for me to see. And I look up to you guys on how you raise your kids, and so thanks for setting that example.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Tab family, I think if you're listening to this podcast, I think there's a lot of wisdom to glean from just a long obedience in the same direction. We're going to say yes to Jesus, even when it's scary, even when it's inconvenient. And so I would encourage you, if you're listening to this podcast, maybe you're a part of the Tabernacle or you're not, wherever you're at, whatever local context you find yourself in, taking that plunge into a local church and saying, you know what, I am going to serve Jesus in this place. I'm not going to serve myself. I'm not going to serve even necessarily the people around me. I'm going to say yes and serve Jesus and trust that whatever he has for me in this place is going to come through saying yes to him. So thank you guys for being a picture of that. And Tab family, I hope you guys can be encouraged and take heart in knowing that there is much benefit in saying yes to Jesus, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's hard. So no free shout outs. Black Rifle Coffee Company today, huh, Benji? How's yours?
That.
Love it.
Good? I went with the caramel vanilla binge. Not good. Not great, Marv.
Not great, Marv.
Not great, Marv. I don't know. There's 300 milligrams of freedom fuel. That's what this says on here, Adam.
I would be twitching.
There's amino acids. I need glasses. 100% daily vitamin C. Metronome.
Yeah, they probably made that up.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. This is horrible though.
Good.
I think all their other stuff is good. Maybe I made it. I bought it from the Buckley General Store. It's probably been there since I moved here. So yeah, no free shout outs, Black Rifle.
Yeah, they're actually great. They're an awesome company. They're a veteran owned and founded company.
Awesome. Their coffee sucks.
Their coffee is great. You picked a bad one.
Their coffee.
Benji, was yours good?
Coffee.
Yeah.
Benji's was good.
No, Benji, why'd you let me get this? You were right there with me.
I never tried it, dude. It's your problem.
Natural caffeine plus focus. So
Well,
we
good.
did it.
Yeah.
What's it say? Enjoy by date on can. Let's see what the date on the can is.
2021.
Not great, Marv. January 23rd, 2022.
Well, that's maybe
No free shout outs.
Amazing. All right.
Love it. Until next time, Tab family, this is the McDaniels, this guy Adam, Benji, and Britton signing off.